Welcome to the Women in Vinyl podcast with Jen DiEugenio, founder of Women in Vinyl and contributor Robin Raymond. This podcast facilitates conversations with those working in the vinyl record industry to educate, demystify, and diversify the vinyl community.
Take me on a journey, there's no place that I'd rather be than here with you. Trees as far as I can see, the sunshine beaming on your olive tone. Oh, I feel at home. Green, oh green, can't get enough of you. The comfort that you bring, I love you. The memory rooted in my core, a feeling I just can't ignore, all the world will be dull.
Thank you for joining us on episode 49 of the Women in Vinyl podcast. You just heard Green by Calgary singer-songwriter Emmy Jane off her new self-titled EP out this summer. Find this and all her music on your favorite streaming platform. On this episode, we wanted to talk about the vinyl community that has emerged over the years on social media, creating strong bonds between music and record lovers, but has also come with its own set of diversity and inclusion issues. We asked the community some questions and then sat down with a couple of collectors and friends, Carol and Matthew, who you may recognize better as at Carol's Vinyl and at Harma808 on Instagram. Let's dive into why this community is so special and how to make it an even better place for time to come. If you're listening to this and it's still March, please consider donating to our Women in Vinyl Women's History Month drive. As a nonprofit 501c3, we can't do what we do without your help. All proceeds are tax deductible and go right back to furthering our mission to educate, demystify, and diversify the vinyl community. We also were listed as number 11 on FeedSpot's Top 25 Vinyl Record Podcasts. Please continue to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. And thank you for being here. Now here's the episode. Well, thank you both for joining us.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
We're super excited to have some friends here.
We always just get to talk to each other and then people that we like fangirl over, not just the people that we interact with all the time. So it's so funny.
Yeah, to see you guys in real life. I thought Carol would have like more of a Southern accent for some reason.
I mean, I really don't. It depends on if I'm drunk, I'll get really and then I'm around people that have a very thick Southern accent, I start to pick it up a little bit. My actual speaking voice is country, so even though I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, so.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, because like you guys just live in the internet box. I don't know where you guys are from. Like, yeah. I have no concept. Where do you live right now?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
I am in the heart of downtown Birmingham now. You can see right now, this is my new place. Just moved in about a week ago. I have been collecting records for probably like 15 years. I feel like the first time I created my record account, I said it was 15 years. It just, I think at this point it's pretty much I've been collecting more than half my life. So my collection is over here on this side. So right now, this is a podcast. So right now I'm sitting in my living room and I have all of my records on one side of the wall. I have about 2,500 records right now. And
But how are they organized?
Right now I have all of everything but soundtracks. They're all in alphabetical order. I decided to do that since I have all of my records on one wall. Mm-hmm. I actually now have like 8 cubes of soundtracks. So
oh wow,
2 or 3. Oh, it's 8. So I have a lot because there's been so many great like soundtracks that have come out lately. And so I've just been collecting those for the last 7 years. So,
But what's your number one soundtrack? That's my question.
um,
In my opinion, it's Top Gun.
I mean, that's
like,
fantastic. That one,
It's a good
I have the new.
choice.
Like, fight me, everyone. But Top Gun, number one. Number two, Dirty Dancing.
It's embarrassing the amount of times that I listen to Danger Zone, like within a week. So,
I don't think that's embarrassing at all. I mean, I'm sure that there's a large contingent of Archer fans that will probably support you in that. And I'm totally fine with that.
yes, so I totally agree with Top Gun being a very high contender. Mine would probably be Almost Famous because there's just so many good like 70s rock songs on there, and it kind of introduced me to it. 70s rock whenever, I mean, I've always listened to, that's a lie. I've always listened to 70s rock. I grew up with it. My dad listened to all that kind of music. But Almost Famous kind of made me fall more in love with it, if that makes any sense. So that's probably my favorite. I have one of the original pressings of that soundtrack, which was released, I think, like 10 years at like on the 10th anniversary of the movie. So I think 2009 is when they released that one. And actually it says Untitled on the front. And it has it's hand numbered, and some of them were signed by Cameron Crowe. Unfortunately, mine wasn't. But yeah.
Very cool.
Well,
So that's
put it out into the ether. Maybe it'll happen. Who knows?
maybe.
And Matthew, what about you?
Yeah, so I have just turned 50.
Oh,
And
happy
I've
birthday.
yeah, thank you. And I've been collecting music since I was 6 years old.
Wow.
When I was 6, my family went to a restaurant on Friday nights, and they had a jukebox, and I became obsessed with ABBA Super Trooper.
Cool.
And so I got my parents to take me to the library, because you used to be able to take out records and bring them home and tape them.
Mm-hmm.
And we pulled out the ABBA, and behind it, there was a record with a canon, which was AC/DC, because alphabetical.
Right.
And I needed to know what that was. And then the next week, I needed to know what was after that, and after that, and after that. So I've been collecting ever since. At the moment, my collection is about 3,500 records, about 5,000 CDs, and
Wow.
probably about 500 cassettes.
Awesome.
And
Nice.
pretty much everything out of view of this immediate image that we are looking at is records and CDs and tapes.
Well, I mean, because we all know each other from Instagram, we're not going to say like photos or it didn't happen, because that's how we all know each other. So
Well,
Absolutely.
and Robin, I think for once you're not the only Canadian on the call.
it's true.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And
right?
yes,
Yeah.
and I should have said that. I'm calling in today from Kingston, Ontario, Canada, which has been my home for the last dozen years. So
Would you say your home and native land? Yeah.
hey.
People at Tragically Hip, did you see the announcement today for Record Store
I
Day
did.
Canada?
And in fact, today's been a great day on Instagram.
Mhm.
The day that we're recording this. First of all, the Tragically Hip have just been announced as the Record Store Canada Day ambassadors for 2024.
R.I.P. Gordon.
Rob Baker, the guitarist from the Tragically Hip, filmed a video announcing it in one of our local record stores in Zap Records,
Oh,
which
wicked.
I shop at every week.
Awesome.
So super excited to see the local shop represented. And then as well, on the day that we're recording this, I happened to notice that the Women in Vinyl Instagram post was celebrating Linda Ronstadt's Heart Like a Wheel, which is my first musical love, because that's my mother's all-time favorite album.
Ah,
I love that.
It's a good one.
I love it. That's so great. It's nice to have another Canadian on here. I mean, I wasn't sure. I was like, are you from Canada? Or are you from North Dakota or Minnesota? Because we do all talk like that a little bit.
And I've lived in a number of countries, and I was a teacher for a number of years, so I flattened out my home and native accent a little bit. So, but again, it comes back at certain points.
Yeah, totally.
Well, we wanted to have you all on because we haven't talked much about collecting, and we thought it would be interesting to discuss the vinyl community, because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like things have changed a little bit, at least this past year. and it felt a little bit different. And so I put up some questions because I figured we'd get the most traction there. And I wanted to ask you all the same thing, and then we can kind of talk about some of the responses that came in. So to start, what is your favorite and least favorite thing about the vinyl community?
The vinyl community. I think my favorite thing is that we all get to talk about our favorite artist all the time and share our collection. But then also, that's kind of my least favorite too, because a lot of people will just buy a whole bunch of stuff to kind of like show off, in my opinion. And it's gotten kind of out of hand in certain experiences. I actually went through all of your stories, and I think I answered a few of the questions that you had on there. And I think that it's changed a lot because a lot of the current influencers in vinyl, I guess, are on TikTok. And they're getting a lot of traction there. And right now, like Instagram has changed a whole lot throughout. Like, I think that's where everybody kind of found each other at first. But then it's spread to TikTok, obviously. And it's easy to do that, but like I'm not as comfortable with like videos and stuff. I like pictures, taking pictures and doing things like that. So I have tried TikTok and I have been successful a few times, but it's not my favorite.
I feel the same way. Yeah, 100%.
On in the comments, people can read it if they want. People can not, like they can see my pictures. I don't like having to talk in front of a camera and talk about my music, even though I probably could, because I have so many things that I have written. I could just say that to camera, but it's like, to me, I've actually tried to do that and it's just awkward. Like that's kind of why I collect records, like, because I don't really want to, it's kind of a solo thing in my opinion, like, and when you add it to TikTok, it just kind of seems like it's not a solo thing. I don't know.
Oh my God, I feel the same way. Like every time I have to record, like I've been trying to do those things for Women in Vinyl, those videos, and I'm just like, it takes 10,000 takes. I feel so awkward. I'm just like, ugh, I hate it.
I'm gonna be honest, it takes 10,000 takes for me to take a picture sometimes, but like it's way different when it's video because you like can't edit out certain parts. And and I know, okay, also variant collecting too. Like there's been so many variants. I know you have this problem, Jen, because you are the biggest variant collector of Black Sabbath, I know, but it just seems like every other day there's a new variant put out of a very popular record, and there's a lot of records that I want on vinyl that have never been pressed, and I would rather those be pressed than getting another variant of a Taylor Swift album.
Totally.
Because one day they are going to be worth a lot of money because they're limited edition, but like I can't afford another Taylor Swift album.
Matthew, what about you?
Yeah, well, I mean, going back to the things that I like about the community is, I mean, the reason I'm an active member of the community is because I like the discovery. I love learning new music. So any avenue that allows me to discover something that I didn't know this morning is great. So I do love that there are many of my new favorite bands and bands that I love now, and artists I love that have come from literally just seeing a picture on Instagram on someone's account and something about what they said about it or something about the album cover has drawn me into it. So that's always been the great part as well. It really is, in some ways, has been a true community for me. I've made several very strong in-person friendships with people over the years that started off as, likes on an Instagram page. And I would say that one of my kind of best friends in the universe at this point was a direct result of Instagram. So in the vinyl community. So that there are fantastic things about it. For me, going to the other side of it and talking about the changes in the last year, for me, I came from a background of blogging and previous to that radio. So it's always been an avenue to share. So I've always been into the writing aspect and the photo aspect, which is why I joined Instagram originally back in 2014 or whenever, because it was the photo platform. And that's what I really enjoy doing, and that's where I sense kind of what I try and get out of it. And much like what you were saying, with the move that the changes to the platform, trying to be more like other platforms, trying to be like TikTok and other platforms with video content, it's not something that I enjoy doing or feel like doing, because that's not, it's not how I approach my page. My page isn't super staged. Most of the pictures that you'll see on my account are literally taken as I'm putting the record on the record player. Occasionally I'll do something a bit more showy, but that's in a very rare case, and I'm still listening to the record as I post it. So for me, I found that that's a little bit of a disconnect, because like you said, it's moved away from the written aspect and the photo aspect to all these little kind of content videos where I'm not really learning anything about the band itself.
Yeah, it is. It's really interesting how that's changed. And I mean, to Carol's point, it like a lot of us are as record collectors, I feel like we're inherently a little bit more in our basements, for lack of a better term, you know? It's like we're not really like those kind of like showy people. So I think like sharing as it is like it's easier to do in a static format and have conversations then about it, because you found your people.
Yeah. And having said all that, and Jen, you can probably speak to this as well. We are both known within the quote unquote vinyl community for the challenges that we hold. Mm-hmm. So for every year for the past 7 years in February, I've held a vinyl challenge where I list a theme a day for the 28 days or 29 days of February, and people can choose and post records that they think match the themes. And of course, you've been running the May vinyl challenge for even a bit longer, right? 8 or 9 years now. Mm-hmm. And so I find that every February, because it's February now while we're recording, the number of people who take part of my challenge and are going back to basics and actually posting a record a day and writing about why they chose it kind of restores what I love about the community. Okay. Mm-hmm. And every year I do this challenge, and I think this is going to be the last year because things have changed. And then the challenge starts, and I start seeing people's contributions, and I start getting excited about music again. And I start getting excited about talking to all the different accounts and new accounts that I've never heard of before. And it kind of brings it all back. And I'm not sure if you feel the same way about your challenge, Jen.
I do. And every year I'm like, am I going to do it again? Because it's exhausting. But then also, yeah, it is.
Oh, very much. Yeah. We're currently a week into it. And I'm spending all my time. I can actually hear my phone buzzing beside me as all the notifications coming with people posting.
Oh, that's the thing. I had to turn off my notifications for Instagram because I just get so many. I don't know what that sounds like, but I mean, yeah, it got really overwhelming.
Yeah, it does.
So I don't know if it does it.
Yeah, I can't have mine on either.
Matt, do you have your record collection organized alphabetically as well?
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that when we were doing the introductions. Yes. So mine is organized alphabetically A to Z, except for jazz, which is a separate section, soundtracks, which is a separate section, and for the artist, if it's a solo artist whose band is more famous, then they get filed with the band.
Yeah, okay.
So so Lindsey Buckingham, for example, is with Fleetwood Mac. If the artist has become almost more famous as a solo artist, then they get to go where they would normally be. So Sting is in the S's, not in the P's with Police. And of course, it's alphabetized, last name first, right? Last name, comma, first name, except for Van Morrison, who I put under V because I know if he found out, it would tick him off. It's the only reason why I do it. I just like knowing that I've done something that would personally offend Van Morrison if he ever happened to be on Instagram and not.
I have it by their first name because that's how Discogs does it.
Yeah.
So I can go through and make sure I have all mine in categorized, and then also in Discogs. So
are you guys both up to date on your Discogs?
No.
Yeah, actually, I let myself get out of date and it drove me nuts. So now it's as I play the record the first time, I enter
Okay.
it.
That's
That's
great.
smart.
To be honest, I haven't. So I moved in my place let's see, 3 months ago, and I have everything in alphabetical order, but in the alphabetical order, it's not like does that make sense? So like the A's are all
A's are all
But-
A's, but not necessarily A-E-I-O-U.
right,
So you're like the record store after the weekend rush.
Right.
right.
Well, we asked what is the main reason that people share their records on Instagram? And the number one result, half the people almost said to discover and help others find new music. And then secondarily to discuss with others generally. Interesting that the other two were split 12% and 13%. And some said to archive their collection and the others to show off what they've got. So
Whether that's a record or other things.
well, so then the next question was, do you think that the vinyl community is sexist? And 70% of people said yes.
Only 70.
Only 70.
Wow.
Which
Out of comments I've gotten over 7 years. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes, it's very much getting better, slightly. And you know what? The music industry is sexist. Let's be honest. Come on. As a woman vinyl collector, as a woman music lover, as a woman who loves rock music, as a woman who likes any genre of music too, along with rock, yes, they're very sexist. Like you can't like Britney Spears and Led Zeppelin or Metallica and Black Sabbath, Slipknot, Christina Aguilera. You can't like all those people, like Taylor Swift. You can't be a big Swiftie and like rock music. Why the not?
yeah. No, I mean,
Like, it's my money, it's my ears. I'll do what I want, but
Yeah.
I get comments. Name three members of the band. Name 3 songs. That's probably your dad's record. No, my dad actually gave away all of his records in the 80s. So this is all stuff that I have purchased myself, or have, like, if it is records that have been given to me, it's stuff that I've gone through and taken out of a collection and kept and held on myself. Like, I don't put a record in my collection that I don't know what it is.
yeah.
So,
I mean, it's crazy. I've had people tell me the same thing, like those are your husband's or boyfriend's records. You don't deserve to listen to that kind of music. I hope you die. You don't deserve to be a Cramps fan. Like, what? Like, okay. And it's the same thing. It's like, and interestingly, in the last year or so, maybe, like everybody gives ideas for the May Vinyl Challenge. And this past year, maybe the year before, everyone was like, no more guilty pleasure because of that exact reason. Like, you should be able to like what you like.
Right.
Like, I actually love Dua Lipa, and I was like ashamed to like share posts about it because it was like not in the genre that I typically like. But then it was just everybody started to kind of be like, no, it doesn't matter. So hopefully that will
Right.
continue. But
I mean, I think being a vinyl collector is a guilty pleasure. Like, you literally spend $30-$40 on a record. Like, why would I let anybody who doesn't believe in me determine my outcome? I like doing what I'm doing.
Right.
And yes, there's a lot of negative there. I mean, not a lot, but there's a lot more positive. So that's the reason. And like Matt said, like, I've met some of my best friends in the entire world, literally in the world, because we have followers all over the world, which is super wild. But I've, like, some of my best friends don't live anywhere near me. And it's because I met them through the vinyl community. So, and you become friends with people that way because they do the same thing you do. They go to antique malls and dig through boxes of records. They scour the internet looking for that perfect variant. And they understand you when you talk about that kind of stuff. So those are all things I have given up going to. When I go to antique malls, I look for other things now, because like my whole days were consumed just flipping through things. And also in antique malls, they like to make the records really expensive there.
Yes.
For no reason.
For no reason. Yeah.
Well,
The only time
everybody just trying to make a buck off of the vinyl resurgence. So,
Mhm.
I mean,
yeah, but I'm not going to spend $25 on a Journey Escape. Sorry, it's a great record, but you can find that in every record store. So, come on, y'all. So the best record, I will tell you, I did find some really great stuff though, and this is when I like decided to stop in antique malls, because I was like, there's nothing that can ever touch this. There was a dealer in Atlanta when I was over there. I was flipping through, and he had apparently worked for Sub Pop and had like the most amazing Sub Pop collection. And he had a lot of other Seattle based bands. And he, I think it was moving or something, and he was getting rid of everything, and it was all 50% off. So I got like Green River, his first record,
Nice.
for $25, and like Adore by Smashing Pumpkins. That's right. Adore is that's it.
Yeah.
I got that for $25, and they're both like first pressings of it. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to look at antique malls. I mean, I'm going to look, but never am I going to find anything like that.
Well, Matthew, I'm interested to hear your perspective as well.
yeah, I was just going to say, as the token dude in the room right now.
So please don't put too much of a burden on me to answer for everyone at this
For
point.
all
but,
of mankind,
yeah.
why not?
So interestingly, I mean, it's obvious because I've followed your accounts. I followed, many other women collectors over the years, so I get to see firsthand the various levels of sexism, misogyny, what have you, hate that take place. I think any account that has any traction, and my account as well, since we're throwing out the numbers, I've just passed 16 myself, so I'm doing okay. It will attract hate, and I've had my fair share of haters over the years for many of the same reasons, especially because my collection is very diverse, and on any given day I may post Britney Spears followed by Sepultura, so, and people are obviously doing that same, you can't like one without the other. I had one person who was obsessed with hating my old footstool. That was a very odd one.
What?
Yeah, just anytime I had it in a picture, they would send me like DMs basically telling me to die. So obviously it triggered something in them. But
it was probably Jack White's burner account, because we all know that he's an upholsterer.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen.
Yeah, obviously I have experienced some of that, but certainly never to the level that I've seen on other pages. So I guess my question on behalf of mankind would be, I see a lot of people saying that they want to be allies, they want to be better allies for the women vinyl collectors and any other marginalized group of vinyl collectors, because obviously you have to look at the racialized, anyone from any of the other communities. So my question to you is, in what way do you think collectors like myself and others could be better allies in those situations? Because I agree with Carol. I would hate to see the haters win. I love that you still post. I love that other collectors I know who've gone through similar things still post. So, how can we ensure that you can still post in the safest community possible?
I think just if there's somebody that is constantly harassing, and it's common knowledge that this particular person, there's been about probably 10 people I can count that have been harassing, like have harassed women throughout the years, or like not only like harassed, but like gone into DMs and been really creepy, and like, and you see that somebody post about that, like a woman post about that, like it's just helpful for people to believe that person and to not support and not allow for that person. Like I hate to say to like not support them, but I mean, but they're not being supportive of us, so why would anybody really want to support them? I had a problem with somebody's like significant other attacking me, and while this person was like a friend of mine. So there's been a few times that that's happened. So I think that just listening, I guess, and not letting the haters win. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know how to explain that anymore. But
Yeah, I mean, I think
hopefully that makes sense.
I think like outwardly in particular, like if someone leaves a comment and you saw something before it was deleted or removed or whatever, like standing up for them. You know, I think it's really interesting in particular with the vinyl community account, vinyl collectors account, vinyl collection. I think that's what it is. Vinyl collection post. Yeah, that account. Because I see so much hate there to the point where he, at this point, I'm pretty sure doesn't even allow people to comment on the top 10 anymore, because it was like usually 10 women and the comments were just so mean that he's like now turned them off. But yeah, I think, you know, not
And-
enabling that.
And his point was that his selection is always based off of what people have liked. It's the top 10. So that's what the masses have spoken for. So yeah.
Well, with that too, like if you see people being hateful on those comments, like that means that if they're putting it right there and they're being nice to the actual person's post, they think that they can get away with it. Actually, I've had to block probably 15 people throughout the community, and I've had like 4 or 5 of these people come either into like my personal accounts or go on Facebook Messenger and message me. And then I blocked up them on all of that. And then I've had people email me, and I've had like the same, like I've had 3 people that's happened to me before, and I've posted their names and everything. And I hate to do that, but like, I'm like, listen, y'all, like these people are predators. Like I have blocked, I've given them, usually I give them like a warning, and I'm like, hey, like you're kind of overstepping a boundary. I'm going to let you be for a little bit. And then they overstep that, and then I block them. And then I've had that happen for 3 people, and I posted about them. And with the vinyl community, since it's actually them reposting it, or there's like there's another like vinyl girls, like vinylettes or whatever, I've actually seen the people that I've blocked have commented on those type of things. They'll either say something really ugly about me, or they'll be like, well, where did Carol go?
You don't get to see Carol anymore.
Given your choice, like you've crossed over that line a few times. So no. And like, I'm really, really understanding, but like, if I'm uncomfortable, I want to be comfortable in my community. Okay. And it doesn't come from me hating this person at all. This is me trying to keep my sanity.
Totally.
And I don't want to be bombarded. Also, like I know this is like, there's certain people that like every single one of my stories, like all the time. And like, that's starting to bother me. Like, come on, y'all, like be cool. Okay. I see your name. And, one of my biggest pet peeves. And like, I purposely will not follow someone when they unfollow me and then follow me back every day.
Well,
It's
and
right
that was
there.
actually one of my questions is like, with the popularity of your accounts and with the challenges and stuff that we do you like, how do you choose if you follow someone back, or like, is that a weird thing? Because it used to be where like, oh, you didn't want your followers or the people you follow to surpass your followers or whatever. So
I'm gonna be freaking honest with you. If you are a woman collector, sorry, Nat, and you get a follow from me, because usually that's safe. If I see that you are an active, like, if my friends start posting about you that like I know in the community, I'll follow you back. Like, so that's how I determine my following backs now. Actually, not only it's girls, women, gays, because they all like, if you're a fan, like, hi.
how does that differ for you, Matt?
A lot of my follows are just based on content. If it's someone whose account I see, and very often it may be because they've liked or commented on a picture, and I'll usually check out an account even if I'm not actively following them or not. But a lot of them are just ones where something about their comment or something about their post has appealed to me, and when I look back through their feed, it looks interesting enough that I would like to learn more. Kind of like what Carol said, if it's someone that I see a lot of my friends are following or commenting about, then trust your friends, right? So that's where a lot of it comes from. Typically, a lot of my new accounts come when I do my challenge in February, because there's all constantly new people every year, and bringing interesting perspectives and talking, about the themes I've set. So it's a great way to kind of connect with people. But yeah, it's tricky, because in an ideal world, I would follow everybody, but with a lot of followers my own, that would mean I would spend all day
Liking.
scrolling and scrolling
Yes.
and scrolling and scrolling, right? Which I'm doing anyway, but
Yeah.
And that's my question. So like, you guys both started as everybody did with 0. And
yes.
then you've made it into these things. So how has that taken away from your actual like day-to-day life, your job, and what kind of like pressure do you feel to make a post every day or make a post every 2 days, or like, you know what I mean?
I think for myself that, as I alluded to earlier, when I'm posting something, I mean, I don't watch much TV. I generally, if I'm home, I'm listening to music. So I'm really, any post I'm doing is pretty much what I'm listening to. So I would be listening to that regardless. So I'm not really thinking about, is this an album that I've posted recently, or is this an album that people are going to be drawn to? I'm thinking right now, this moment, this is what I want to listen to.
Right.
And sometimes that seems to connect with people, and sometimes not. Sometimes that may be the fault of the quote unquote algorithm, my favorite word in the world.
Our buddy Al.
But yeah. So I would be listening to that album regardless of whether or not I was posting. So really, it's not impacting my day all that much either way. I don't feel a burning need to kind of keep up the community. It just happens to be what I do. It's like a stream of consciousness.
You have a job too, Matt? Like, you have a job that you're like, I go and do my job every day.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like a thing that I do on the side.
Oh yeah. No, I've got a full-time job, and I've also got a weekend job. So that's
Because
pretty much what I'm doing.
Here we are in Canada. Yep.
Well, my account has actually opened up my life to becoming like social media managers for my actual job. Right now, I'm currently doing a whole bunch of random things. So I'm a graphic designer, freelance graphic designer. I have my own company that me and my friend started last year around this time. And it's been pretty successful. And so when I'm not collecting, when I'm not on Instagram, that's what I'm doing. I'm planning parties and events for bars and restaurants in town. I'm also, so I lost my like 9-to-5 job back in August. And since then I've just been trying to figure out what I want to do. And I also work as a bartender at a restaurant in town. So yeah, I mean, when I post, when I like a lot of my posts, I like doing like anniversary type things, because also it lines up to a lot of the repressings that are coming out too. Because like, let's say that Alice in Chains has a album that came out 30 years ago, then they're going to repress that album so that people will remember it, and then I'll write about it. Like I won't buy the repressing of it because I have all of the Alice in Chains that I like, but you know, I like doing the anniversary ones because nostalgia is a huge selling point, and always. I also like to combine fashion. If there's something that comes up in pop culture, of a reference from something back in the past, then I'll talk about the artist or the musician that people talk about. If a musician has passed, unfortunately, then I'll talk about them. So that's how I determine my postings.
So how much of like your day is that though? Like how much is like research, and like what are you like, what goes into a Carol's Vinyl post? Like,
well, so recently on Sunday, actually, one of my friends came over and we did like a photo shoot thing. That's what my last post is about, that. So she helped me kind of curate some content there. When I first moved into my place and got everything set up, I decided that I wanted to take a picture in my new hallway thing. So it really I can spend all day putting together a few posts. I like to kind of spend one day a week creating stuff, but usually it doesn't happen like that. I've also been posting a lot of like my older pictures because I have some really awesome things that people haven't seen. Over the past like probably 2 years, I've gotten half of my following. So 3 years ago, I had some great stuff and they haven't really seen that up on my feed. So I just repost things like that. So
it's funny. Sorry.
Another thing about followers too, I forgot to mention this. If I see someone that has been supporting me and commenting on like every post, and it's actually what I think good commentary, I'll go follow them. I've had a lot of issues with following people or like allowing DMs and then it turning bad really quick. So that's why I'm very hesitant about following specifically men in the community, and because I've been burned a lot, unfortunately. So that is one of the reasons why I am sexist when it comes to my following, I guess, right? But you know, I've been doing this for 7 years, and I think I actually was going through my settings, and I think I have like 60 people blocked from.
Yeah, it's crazy.
From it. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Matt, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was going to go back to the anniversaries aspect. Yeah. So going back to your question about the how you spend the day, typically for myself, I wake up, and while I'm having my morning coffee, I usually read the news, and then I always check to see which albums are having an anniversary, which artists are having birthdays, mostly because that, with my foggy, sleep-deprived brain, allows me to choose my first spin of the day. So it's like, oh, I have that album that has an anniversary. I'm going to play that because that will negate thought for the next little bit. And so about half my posts, I would say, end up being anniversary or birthday posts, just because it's a way to make sure that I'm actually listening to all the records in my collection, because it may not be something I had initially thought of. But just a side note to that was that I'm lucky enough in my day job that I often get to work remote still for many of the days. And whenever we have staff meetings, I always set up my computer so that my background is my record collection. And one day while we were having a meeting, someone said, "What's the record that's on your display stand?" And I said, "Oh, that's such and such that's having an anniversary today. And that's now become the icebreaker for all our staff meetings. It doesn't matter
Oh, that's
you know,
fun.
what we're talking about.
That's
The
it.
meeting will always start with it's almost like, you know, saying the Lord's Prayer, right? It's like the meeting will start with Matthew explaining which album is having an anniversary or which artist is having a birthday. So
That's
Yeah,
great.
I've had a few of those experiences too. Like when I had the 2 companies ago, I got to work from home, and that's what happened. Like I would just have stuff up on my wall, and they'd be like, "Well, what's that?" And I like would explain it, and then I'd be like, "Okay, let me post about it."
we actually had an in-person meeting a while ago where it was the same thing. We were doing it in person, and someone kind of jokingly to start off the meeting said, "Well, it's a real shame we're in person because Matt's not able to show off today's anniversary." And I thought ahead and I whipped out the cassette. I was like, "The cassette. Here it is. Here's today's anniversary."
Full record with
I mean, I have to say, I guess I feel a little bit of like pressure to post. Like if I haven't for a while or something, I'm like, oh, I have to spend some time. Because to your point earlier, Carol, like, I mean, one of my photos, I have like 50 before I choose the one that's the right light, the right setup, the right whatever before, you know, so I think it's a lot of commitment. And I get a lot of people with Mistress of Reality. They're like, when are you going to post the next one? When, you know, and I'm just like, do you see how much research I do on this? Like, I'm not just posting the record. Like, I'm literally looking into the history of where the stampers came from. Like, give me a break. So,
Well, with that, another thing with the pictures, like when you are taking a picture of a record, if it's got a sleeve on it or it's got a sheen to it, a shine, it is so hard sometimes to take pictures, a little bit of a glare on it. I'm telling you, taking pictures with objects, especially having an entire discography behind you, is an absolute, like, what do you call it? A talent. And
Okay, here's a question that could only be asked of this group that
yeah,
someone listening to this 30 years from now would have no idea what we're talking about. What is
Good.
the most difficult album cover to photograph?
Whew.
My vote is Metallica's Black Album.
mm,
True.
Oh,
Conversely,
because it's just
you know,
conversely, the White Album.
when Tool's Fear Inoculum came out, that was the biggest pain in the ass because the whole box set part of it is like rainbow, like shiny board, like silver board. And then the records themselves, the back sides are all they all have etchings. So it's not, you don't even have grooves to help reflect the light a little bit. The whole thing was just like, and then you're in it, like you're taking the picture, you see your phone, you're like, damn it. Like so yeah, it's a whole thing.
so I do a record that's really popular and that people post a lot about. I want to remake that record album. That's why I do the album remakes. That helps break that up a little bit.
Mhm.
And or dressing up, like, yes, like Taylor Swift, everybody's gonna be posting about her. Lana Del Rey, everybody's gonna be posting Lana Del Rey's records. Love those records, but like I don't want to see all that on my feed all the time, constantly. So if I do post that, then I'm gonna do it in my way, like in a Carol way, where so like with the Midnights one, I remade the cover because it's very easy. It's like a little, her face is like so, and I had one of my friends is a candle maker, and she had a lighter, and I showed that off in it to help her company because she's a female who owns a business and independent business. So I think that in order to, if you do want to post a record that everybody else has been posting, do it like that. Make it interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that like it kind of goes into that sort of competitive thing that some people mentioned and we kind of touched on is like that's sort of why I have stepped back recently is because there's this like weird one-upping thing going on. And that to me is exhausting. Like I've said in one of our other podcast episodes, it's like I didn't start collecting Black Sabbath Master Reality variants to have more than everybody else. That wasn't the impetus to that. It was because I work in manufacturing. And to me, it's fascinating that all of these different covers and versions of the exact same record got made. How is that possible? And so that's why I started doing it. And now there's all these people who are like, do you have this one? And it's not in a fun, joking way. Like there are those people that we joke about it, but then there's other people that are just like almost aggressive about it. And I'm just like, I'm not trying to one up anybody. It's a weird rabbit hole that I'm in. Like that's it. So
I agree. I mean, like you with the different variants. If I get a different variant, I want like the rare band covers. I love the band covers. Like Guns N' Roses, I have that copy of Appetite. I have the Jimi Hendrix one with all the naked ladies on it, of course. I think I posted about that. So those are interesting to me. Like that's why I got into collecting. I got into collecting because of the album art. And my first 2 records that I bought, like myself, were Led Zeppelin 3 and Some Girls, because Some Girls, like you can change out the pictures on it. And I have like 4 or 5 different versions of Some Girls, because then I found out that not only with that my Some Girls, I was actually I had the overproduced version of it, and there was another one that was banned because they had pictures of women on there that didn't okay to have their picture on there, so that made it even more interesting. So yeah, I collect records based on like the music, but also like how they look and how and the record covers. I do judge records by their covers. Okay.
It's interesting because as I said, whatever I'm posting, I'm playing, and I like music. So, I may like the album that 87 other people are posting that day because that happens to be what I'm listening to right now. I think my hope has always been that someone looking at my page, coming across my page, sees that, if I'm posting something that's hugely popular, like the Taylor Swifts of the world and all of those, that, they think, wow, I like Taylor Swift, he's playing Taylor Swift, so he must like Taylor Swift. So maybe I should take a chance on this other obscure act that he's also posted. Like that, to me, it's the whole, and it goes back, to hosting a radio program when I was back in college, where that was literally me in front of a microphone sharing my music tastes across the airwaves, right? And sliding all these little tiny bands in amongst the bigger bands. And I guess I've always kind of hoped that that's how people would perceive my Instagram as well, right? It's not, I'm trying as much as possible to be the opposite of a music gatekeeper. I don't want that little band that's only my thing, because that band for me deserves to be, the biggest band in the world.
Totally.
So it's aspirational, but that's my hope.
I follow pressing plants. I follow people that work in pressing plants. If I'm collecting something, I want to know everything about it. I want to know it all down to the core. And I've always been that way. One of the reasons why I collect records is because probably about maybe 25% of the current collectors now, like through Jack White, I wanted to actually go to a record pressing plant. There was only one at the time, and it was near Nashville. And I wanted to go in there and walk around when I first started, but they didn't have it open to the public. And then Jack White started talking about it, and Jack White opened his stuff, and I've just been obsessed with every process of it.
Yeah. I think that's definitely what we try to do, is we want to share more of it so that people can get even more excited about how their records are made.
And not just records made, but I love the representation, anything that is showing, women in this industry, in any skilled trade industry, in any industry, right, is always going to be a great thing. My part-time gig, I work in a high-end stereo store. So I'm approaching this from two different sides. One's the actual music loving side, the other's the actual audiophile side. And it's not a big store. And our kind of main technician is a young woman with a strong technical background. So of course, you know, I think it's fantastic. And anything I can see to promote other women to choose that as an option, as a career option, I think is fantastic. So by all means, you know, the more you can direct us to posts about how the, you know, how the hamburger's made, the better, right?
Well, before I started collecting records, I've always been a collector of like CDs, cassettes, like whatever. I've always wanted a physical form of music. I was that person that sat in front of the TV or in front of the computer, downloading stuff illegally off of LimeWire, making playlists for people. I love music to the core of it. Music is my favorite thing in the entire world. If I'm not listening to my records, I'm listening to music I have both Spotify and Apple Music. I know I'm a little bit, I'm insane, but it's fine.
Extra lover of music.
I too have about 600 CDs. I know you said 5,000. So
I pared my CDs down. I think I have 35, and that
I know.
is it.
I got rid of all of mine.
Bye.
Tracks that have the same thing that Jen has right behind her, that player. I have the same one as her. And I have custom made Britney Spears 8 tracks. Only person in the world that has Britney Spears on 8 tracks.
You have Britney Spears 8-track bootlegs.
Exactly. Yes. Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Hot takes.
Which kitty is this?
Oh, sorry. This is Edgar who's entered the chat.
Edgar has now entered the chat.
Amazingly, in many ways, possibly more famous than I am because he's in way more of my Instagram photos. It's pretty funny how often Edgar gets called out. And going back to the whole meeting people in the community, the number of vinyl collectors who have made pilgrimages to my little town of Kingston and then asked if they can come meet Edgar is pretty impressive. So
Edgar never gets any hate, right?
No. Oh, a cat. Oh, people. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially if there's any picture of him near the records. You know, people are like, how can you let him do that? Like, well, he's a cat.
He doesn't even have thumbs, you guys. He's not going to put paw prints on it. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, exactly. But
so, I mean, well, and like as a hot take, like for the floor, I mean, I love asking the spicy questions. Like, how do we all feel about ladies and non-ladies and non-lady types and the rainbow crowd? How do we feel about everybody posing with their record?
Thing to me, then I'll like it. You know, like I'll be drawn to it. I mean, not saying I think that if you post a picture of your record without you in it, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Like, I love when people's faces are with their records. Like, I think more people should do it. Because you know, when I first started doing it, I was terrified. I was like, because I knew I was going to get so much hate, and I knew I was going to, because back then I was one of the only, like, we had like 4 or 5 women in the vinyl, Instagram vinyl community. And it was terrifying, but it's gotten me to where I'm at now. Like, I work in social media. I did not go to school for social media. So I grew my account from 0 to 19 points, I think 7 that I have right now. Okay. By showing my face, I guess, or by creating, like, being creative with my post. I see people who post their records and they just do it like next to their record player. And if the record player looks really cool, I like that. There's this one guy on here who does videos of like the atmosphere of him like posting his records, animals with records. Like, I love all of that. If it's eye-catching and interesting to me, there's one girl on here who does like spells records. I can't remember what her handle is, but she just Yes, she has this absolutely beautiful like landscape of like it's gorgeous. And like I'm like, can I live in that picture? I love creators who do like total nostalgia throwbacks where they like turn an entire room into like the era that the record is. Like those are the things that connect. Like I like on Instagram.
So like when you think of women in vinyl, you think of like empowering women to love music, love records, be a part of this career path and community. So if someone is in, you know, no clothes holding a record and they tag women in vinyl in it,
Hmm.
would you expect to see that in our tagged photos?
No.
Right. And that's where I get into like a weird position because I have to untag us from like some people that are just posting like things that just aren't representative of what we want to be. If you're a collector posting a picture of yourself with your record and you're a woman and you tag us, I'm totally cool with that. But some of the stuff I'm just kind of like, you know, we're trying to create role models here. So,
Well, the one record that I pretty much did that, like where I had a record in front of me and I was quote unquote naked, but I wasn't. Okay. It was the Jimi Hendrix band record of all the like Electric Ladyland. Like that makes sense.
yeah, that makes sense.
I don't like that. I don't like women that it brings it tarnishes our reputations. It like tarnishes.
Well, it's the reason that we get a lot of the negative comments, right?
Well, and
Like,
exactly. To be
that's-
fair, I think it's kind of taking away from like what Carol's trying to do and being artistic. Yeah.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
that's the reason that you're getting some of the negative feedback that you're getting because of what they're wanting from you to do and what they're not getting from you. Matt, what do you think? You're the dude in the room. What do you think?
It's a hot button topic, obviously.
I mean, everybody
I
wants
mean-
to see hot babes. Like, I'll be with you on that.
Everyone wants to see attractive people.
Mhm.
You know, that's why magazines exist, why
pictures
Hollywood
exist.
exists, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
The tricky part for me is I don't want to be the person who judges the art versus
Totally.
what is not art, because I don't know. It's much like why I will never diss anyone for their musical choice, right? Whatever they post, I'm never going to say that band sucks, because you know there are things in my collection which may be empirically bad, objectively bad, but that piece of music ties into a very specific moment in my life and will always resonate with me.
100%.
And I don't know the journey of the person who is in front of that camera. I don't know, you know, I think going back to the original question, I think it's fantastic anytime someone's willing to put their face in front of a camera, because that takes confidence. That takes, you know, you're exposing yourself to the world possibly more ways than one. I don't do a lot of pictures of me on my account, but I do it occasionally when I feel good. But yeah, it's not for me to decide that, you know, it's that whole one person's art's someone else's whatever, right? I don't know their whole story unless I go in and research and, you know, directly say, is the only reason that you're posting that because, you know, you're trying to get likes, then I don't know the story behind it. So I'm willing to give a lot of leeway to some of those. If it's an account where I personally don't happen to like how the pictures look, then I just don't follow that account and my life is so much better.
True.
Yeah, everyone has their lane, right?
It's true. I mean, that is the kind of like the greatest part about Instagram, because there is room for everybody.
Yeah.
It's whether Uncle Al lets you interact with everyone or not.
Yes.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah. Well, if it's uncomfy to me, then I don't.
Yeah. And I think that's the way more people should look at it. If you don't like it, instead of complaining about it, just don't like it.
I just fun.
Yeah, that's it.
Keep scrolling, Steve. Okay. Yes.
There was a person who, this was a few years ago, on one of my record shelves that you can usually see in my wide shot pictures of my collection. I have some vintage Walkman, Sony Walkman, and
Yellow one?
and this
Is
went
it
on.
the yellow sport one?
I collect different colors, so I do have a yellow one, I have a red one, I've got a silver one,
I love
but
that yellow one.
someone became obsessed with the placement of one, and
Oh.
every single time I posted a picture, that would be in their comments, and it took a while to realize that it wasn't a joke, that this person was very offended to the point where I had to say, like, if it's really bothering you, don't follow me.
I would
they
have
said,
just
but
kept
I-
moving.
but-
I just
and
would have
their
moved
answer-
it like 1 more inch to
Yeah.
the left and then 2 inches to the right. I would have moved it all over the place and just been like, "Oh, this is for you, Steve." You're welcome.
Yeah, that's but like, all I could think was, there's an easy solution. Don't look at my pictures if that's what's offending you about them.
No, that's what I said. Just move on. Like, you don't have to tell me. You don't have to. Like, I am a sensitive person. Okay, even though I'm tough, I'm sensitive too. I'm a Gemini, so I can do that.
So, but Nat, here's a hot question for the man in the room. Do you feel like, because you're a dude with a big collection, that automatically kind of has given you more of a following and more credibility than somebody like Carol, who has to, like, you know, like you said, like, you're like, nah, I'm just gonna post whatever, and Carol's like, this takes me 50 shots and I gotta do this and editing, blah, and you're just like, never throw away, blah. This is, you know what I
I
mean?
know. I'm like, I need to post
the-
more like Matt.
Exactly. The amount of effort, you know, to correlate, because you guys have like similar kind of numbers for followers, like, but the amount of effort to keep that engagement, grow that engagement, whatever, like that one, that to me shows just like how the actual community behaves, because Carol's got to work her ass off. Jen has to work her ass off, and you're like, do. No shade. Like I celebrate. I celebrate everybody, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, am I the only person that looks at this like this because I'm an analytical bitch that way, or is this true? Is this true facts?
I don't think it necessarily has a correlation for the most part. I would say that on average, I don't get that much engagement per picture. I'll you know, but I post a lot because I'm posting stream of consciousness. So maybe like one post a week will somehow resonate with people or will get shown by Uncle Al. I find that, and as well with my account, the numbers are deceptive because Instagram and platforms like it aren't what they were a few years ago.
Right.
The bulk of my followers came in kind of
In the before time.
several years ago during a heyday.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And the last while, it's been a very, very slow climb.
Same. Yeah.
So yeah, I do find, and going back to your point though, I do find that I get a lot less grief than other accounts when I've noticed that someone has a very small collection. I get more willingness to accept that I know what I'm talking about when I talk about an artist, which I find hilarious, because with 3,500 records and several thousand CDs and cassettes, you know, I'm probably listening to each album far less than the person with 15. So really, I probably know that music on an album far less than someone who spends all their time listening to the same 10 albums.
I love the self-awareness. I am here for this.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I don't know if it's necessarily the community engages with me, but I probably get the benefit of the doubt a bit more.
Okay. Curious.
Yeah, it is curious. Yeah. And going back to what I said earlier, when I work in the stereo store, it's a very small shop, high-end stereo. As I said, one of my coworkers, young woman who's incredibly knowledgeable, technical, is an actual technician. I tend to be known as the actual music person rather than the person who understands the inside workings of the machines. And when people walk in, you can guess when they see the, you know, middle-aged man versus the young woman, who their first question is usually to, which honestly is my favorite part of the day, because then I get to say, that's an excellent question. Let me introduce you to our head technician. And then I just stand away.
Yeah.
Yep. It's fantastic.
What?
Jen, you have another question, a burning question?
No, I actually, I guess to close before we ask our final question, that's impossible and will be even harder for you guys, is that overall, the feedback from our survey was that if they had to describe the vinyl community, 55% said it's a fun place to chat music with friends. 28% said it's become too competitive. 10% thought it was phasing out, and 7% said it's a safe space. So I think there's still hope for a fun place to chat with friends.
That's how long I'll be here until they turn off the lights. As long as there's one other person who wants to talk music with me, I will be, I'll be that person, right? I'm the person at the bar who gets really upset when they turn off the sound system as they're turning it. Like, I don't mind that they shut down the bar, don't mind that the lights are off, but the minute they turn off the sound system, it's like, oh, unplug the jukebox. Then
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I have so many records that I haven't shown, and so many cool record things. It's just when I get the time is when I'll be posting. So yeah, I mean, owning my own business and having so many odd jobs to make rent and everything. I do get to listen to my records a lot, but like, I don't get to talk about them as much on Instagram and create my posts, because it does take me a lot of time to do a post. So, I mean, my stories are pretty active. So like, if you are on Instagram and you want to be annoyed, first of all, by me, second of all, you do want to know what I'm listening to / do want to talk music. Sometimes I don't allow new people to talk about music with me, because I don't allow DMs half the time, because I've been burned, like I said. But if you do want to talk about music, I think I'm going to start posting more like comment wise stuff. So, and I don't know, like, it takes a lot for me to post something, and I listen to music all the time. So if you want to talk, just DM me. Pretty much what I'm saying.
Unless you're a new person, and then don't.
Yeah.
You have to be vetted. I feel like that's kind of fair.
Don't be creepy.
Yeah, just don't be creepy, everybody.
Comment on one of my old posts, a very detailed, just like DM that you would like for me to know. That's how you can get me to DM you.
Well, the question that we always ask our guests that's impossible is, if you could make your own custom 7-inch with anything on the A side and anything on the B side, what would it be?
Ooh, I would love to have Silver Springs by Fleetwood Mac on vinyl. I have a friend who has a 7-inch of it and is supposed to send it to me. He has it, and it's just sitting there. I don't know, he probably kept it for himself, but I do want that one. And then on the other side, yeah, I'm gonna have to think on that one for a second.
Wait, we can come back for the B side. Matt, A side.
The A side, well, the A side's always got to be the banger, right? So without a doubt, it would be the Damned Neat, Neat, Neat. So that would be it. And then the B side would be the song that I'm going to have played at my funeral, which is the Rolling Stones' Midnight Rambler.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Mostly because I really want them to say at my funeral that we are now going to play a selection off Let It Bleed, and everyone's going to think that it's going to be, you can't always get what you want because of the big chill. But then they actually play a song about a serial killer. And then everyone at the funeral is just going to sit there awkwardly with the 6.5 minutes of the song, wondering why he chose a song about a serial killer.
And
he played at his funeral.
Can we pass out like little water guns with like fake blood in them too?
Oh, you can. Oh, everything else you can do what you want, but that's the key. The key is that, yeah. But Midnight Rambler is the all-time greatest nighttime driving song, so it should always be a side B.
I like that one. I like that. Carol, coming back to your B. What do you think?
Probably on the B side, this is really freaking hilarious because like I just love this song and I don't have it on vinyl and I would love to have it on vinyl.
That's why this challenge exists. It's so good.
Trial Time by the Real Mr. Big is like one of my favorite Alabama player, y'all. So yep, Trial Time by the Real Mr. Big.
All right. That's
Awesome.
great.
I'm a gangster. I'm a pop princess on the outside, but on the inside I'm gangster as hell. So
Oh, well, on that note, thank you all.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having us.
Well, we will see you on the internet.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Join the conversation on social media at Women in Vinyl. We want to hear from you. Shoot us a message for topics you want to hear, feedback, and more to info@womeninvinyl.com. Huge shout out and thank you for all our supporters, affiliates, and sponsors like Marshall Headphones. Visit our website, womeninvinyl.com, for ways to get involved, and you can always contribute to the education, demystification, and diversification of the vinyl industry by donating at womeninvinyl.com/donate. See you next time.
This episode has been brought to you by Women in Vinyl and Red Spade Records. Thank you for listening. Please remember to subscribe, and you can always contact us directly by visiting www.womeninvinyl.com.